Titans get back into the win column 17-10 over the Denver Broncos today in a frozen Sunday in Nissan Stadium. And we take your phone calls at 615-737-1045 on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Alongside Kevin Dyson, I'm Will Boling. A classic Titans win once again, Dr. Dyson. And boy, is it good to have Ryan Tannehill back under center.
For a lot of reasons, but the word of the day, boys and girls, is resiliency. That is a classic example of a team that has learned from their head coach how to be resilient and find ways to win football games. It's not pretty. It's not how you draw it up. But as you mentioned coming in, when they went down 10-0, it was like, I just don't see it. The offense was stagnant. Defense was they were trending on being tired again. Looked like they're going to be on the field a lot, although neither offenses were really being too productive other than the big play earlier by Seattle, by the mistake in the secondary, miscommunication probably. And this team is resilient. They find ways to win when the odds are stacked against them. Out 5 starters on your defense, couple injuries within that, going through it. You end up with 6 sacks. Hold the team to 10 points, and you find a way to win a tough, hard-nosed football game against a pretty stout defense. As you mentioned, one of the best defenses against the pass, and you watch them today, they were good against the rush as well. Solid at the point of attack, wasn't going to let Derrick Henry get off. They put that pressure on the offensive line when getting a whole lot of push. And made him earn every one of those 50-something yards he had today. But true to the Titans' form of this year, it's not pretty. But at the end of the day, it's about getting that W. And you're 6-3, leading the AFC South, right there in the thick of things. It's a 4-way tie right now, and of course we'll see what happens because there's tiebreakers that come between Buffalo and KC. But they right there it again, right where you want to be at the halfway point.
615-737-1045 is the phone number tonight on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. We begin with Logan in Austin, Texas. First up on tonight's show. What's going on, Logan? Hey, Logan, you there? Hey, Logan, I think we lost you at the end. Go on ahead.
Gotcha. Okay, my question is, so are y'all concerned about our offense? Because we've only scored over 20 points twice this season. And just, looking at our upcoming schedule and then possibly looking forward to playoffs, are y'all concerned our offense isn't putting up enough to win its games? Thanks, Logan.
I think, you got to be concerned. There's got to, at some point, you have to be able to put up points. You're going to be in a game in a track meet. You're going to have to compete within that game. But for whatever reason, right now, it's working. I mean, even look at the Chiefs game last week. That you would assume the high-powered offense that the Chiefs have been since Mahomes has taken over, the Titans have kept them stymied and found ways to keep games close and been low-scoring affairs. They are not a high-prolific offense right now. They are Derrick Henry or bust. Now, they found a way to win today. They're vastly different than they were the previous 2 weeks, throwing the ball 36 times, where we saw, 10 and 15 the previous 2 weeks. And one of those games they only threw one time the whole second half of a game, let alone throwing it 36 times total in a game, as they did today. So it depends. There hasn't been a whole lot of continuity on offense. There's been guys in and out of lineups, injuries aside, quarterback too. It's concerning because this is a league you put up points. That's how you win football games. But you're 6-3. You still, at the end of the day, if I win 1-0, I don't care. I won a football game and I survive and I keep moving.
615-737-1045 is our number this afternoon on Titans Talkback. I think the biggest thing that is a positive from the offensive performance, Kevin Dyson, is you started 1 of 7 on third downs when you were down 10-0. You finished 5 of your last 9 on third down conversions. 6 of 16 in the game is okay. It's certainly a lot better than 1 for 7 at the beginning of this football game. The step that this passing offense took today is noteworthy because it at least gives you a plan B. We've talked every single week. We've done 8 of these shows now, or 9 of these shows now, about the Titans needing a plan B. I think we saw it at the end of the first half with the no-huddle 2-minute offense returning to the form that it is when the Titans are at their best. And we saw on that drive at the end of the second quarter, Mike Keith, Coach Dave McGinnis, and Rhett Bryan mentioned it right at the end of Titans Radio's locker room report there just a minute ago. 13 plays, 75 yards, 2 minutes and 11 seconds to find a perfectly thrown ball to Nick Westbrook-Akine in the back of the end zone to get on the board. This was the best NFL red zone offense against the best NFL red zone defense, and that was best on best, and you came away with points, and you completely changed the mood in going into that locker room with that drive.
Yeah, that was crucial, that drive, and I was going to mention that too. And let's talk about it just for a second. You talk about being able to move the change, and especially at in a halves or in a games where you need to get points. And that right there, you were thinking at that point, if we get 3, we're good going in halftime. We come back out, we get a stop, we get the ball, and we keep it moving. Well, to get 7 in a crucial moment like that against, as you mentioned, one of the best defenses, the best defense in the National Football League in the red zone, that was crucial for that momentum phase. And I know everybody's going to be high on this Nate Westbrook-Akine, and as they should. He showed out today, 2 touchdowns, 2 big plays for the Titans. But Hooper and Okonkwo, the way these two have stepped up this year and have made plays, there was a key first down catch that Hooper had where he broke some tackles and extended a drive. Not much happened from it, but it shows you how he's developing as a pass catcher as for this Tennessee Titans team amidst of not having guys who have been stepping up in the passing game. And this is a kid who's finding ways to be productive for him and making big plays. And Okonkwo, who last week had big play and early on, and another 40-something yard pass today, is starting to become a playmaker that you got to be concerned with because he looks like he can stretch the defense a little bit. He got a little bit of speed to him. So, hats off to the Titans for finding ways to find it. And it was ugly early on. You mentioned the 1 for 7 on third down. Wasn't a whole lot of completions. It wasn't necessarily even to me. Tannehill, he had a couple of balls that you probably maybe off kilter a little bit, maybe off target a little bit. But there were several drops in there. Again, you got to work through those things. You guys got to make plays for your quarterback. But at the end of the day, the production of the passing game was when you needed it most. At the end of the half, the crucial points in the game, the second drive there, they got another critical passing game completions and things of that nature. So, again, that's what you want from a good football team. When we need it, it's got to be there. And it hasn't always been that way, specifically in the passing game this year. So today, it showed up.
615-737-1045 is the number. I know there's a lot of traffic downtown today in Nashville this afternoon. We are here with you until Sunday Night Football coverage begins at 6:30 here on The Zone. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in and react to this Titans win over the Broncos. Next, we go to Maddox, who's leaving the stadium, calling in with us here this afternoon. What's going on, Maddox?
Hey, guys. I'm just going to say we had a lot of big names out on defense, and our defense had, 6 sacks, a pick, and, really ultimately won us that game. And I just want to talk about some offensive play call issues, like 3rd and 3, going to, who was it? Dontrell Hilliard instead of Derrick Henry. And we just had some, bad play call. Like, Malik, was getting some the one play that he had, fumbled the ball, turnover. I just wanted to know your opinion. And anyway, Broncos country, let's cry. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddox. Appreciate the call. I think a lot of the play calling, again, is going to be heavily scrutinized simply because it was so predictable early, and this was the same old story. And as soon as the flea flicker kind of took the top off the defense a little bit, it opened up some passing lanes that just haven't really been open all season for this Titans offense.
Well, I did see a difference in philosophy in the play calling, obviously with a rookie quarterback, an unknown commodity compared to a veteran. There was a vast difference of what they were trying to do. We talked about it before we got on the air, the simple just getting the ball into the hands of your first-round pick, just trying to be very conscious of getting him the ball. And Taylor, and he was, I think, pretty active early on.
Sure.
Now, I think part of that is you still want to see a guy beat a one-on-one on the edges for the 50-50 ball. And that's, that is what I still haven't seen us win yet. The gimmick plays, and then again the plays within the schemes, the combination routes, and things like that. They've been fine. Sometimes they've just dropped the ball. But what I haven't seen a consistent pattern of is the guy winning the one-on-one 50-50 balls that he throws up. And that's the way you're going to be able to take this team to another level. I think that was the difference when you had somebody like A.J. Brown. You trusted he was going to come down with those 50-50 balls more often than he wasn't. And then you knew he was going to make those plays. And I think that's where Traylon Burke, who's probably the guy that's most recognizable to replace him, is going to be expected to begin to make those plays vertically. But play calling is tricky. It's tricky. I think the team is reliant and to see how the running game is going, especially with Derrick Henry. And if that's going well, then you have your full gamut of plays that you would like to run, and your plan is intact. Today, when the running game wasn't necessarily going as it had the previous couple of weeks, it put the game back into Tannehill's hands a lot. He threw 36 times today, 19 completions, and to your point, they was able to be productive in the passing game enough to seal the victory. And that's all you ask for, because you know the bread and butter is 22. And if he's not going, which we hadn't seen a whole lot, if he's not going, then what? And today they just enough to have that, okay, this is what we're going to do, and we made enough plays in the passing game to get the victory. You know, that's 17 points is not a whole lot in any level of football.
Not at all.
But if your defense is playing as solid as they are, you can't stress enough, 5 starters down.
Yeah.
And had some injuries out of that.
And 5 good starters.
Right. And you still held the team to 10 points in the National Football League? Come on, man. That's pretty stellar. That's pretty stellar. I think we need to celebrate that.
615-737-1045 is the number. We go to Eric in Nashville up next on Titans Talkback. Good afternoon, Eric.
Hello, can you hear me?
We got you.
Oh, okay. Guys, I tell you what, I'm coming from the game. My voice is just about gone. I tell you what, before I get to my main things about the game, I just want to say, first of all, the last caller kind of stole my thunder a little bit because I was going to talk about the fact I don't have a problem you're going to run trick plays, but if you're going to do that with Malik Willis, make sure we don't have a fumble. Second straight home game, we fumbled the ball hard and we lost it. But the good thing was that the defense bailed us out and got a 3-and-out. But also, what can you say about the team? I tell you what, the play of Ryan Tannehill, I know he's gotten a lot of criticism, but matter of fact, he started off struggling, but then he made that big run to pick up the first down, and then threw the touchdown pass to Nick's Westbrook-Akine, and then the flea flicker to Westbrook-Akine, and as you said, the two guys that Hooker and the other guy, I can't remember his name now, that made the big catch, especially when we had to keep that drive alive so we can get the field goal. And the defense, what can you say about the defense? I mean, we had 5 starters out. Several more guys went down and was hurt, and they just played such a tremendous effort in the game. I mean, but also want to thank the fans. The crowd was into the game today. They were just yelling their heads off, especially caused some false starts on the Broncos as well as just disrupted the offense a little bit. And, of course, Denver had some offensive linemen go down, but just a great effort by the crowd. Just hats off to the Titans, and go Titans, and hopefully we can keep it up Thursday night against the Packers. Y'all take care and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate the call.
You know, and I know there's going to be some criticism for that play with Malik Willis and Derrick Henry there at the end. And it's a zone read concept. You're reading the in-man line scrimmage, and he turned his shoulders parallel to chase Derrick Henry. And he was trying to extend it to get that read, to make him chase Derrick Henry so he can come out that back pocket and get that first down. I think it was like 3rd and 5. I think it was at that moment.
3rd and 3.
3rd and 3.
Yep.
And had that worked out, he'd still be running.
He would be.
There was nobody over there. It just Derrick Henry kept that pocket closed and thought he was giving it to him because he extended it and go. But if it works, we're talking about what a great moment, what a great play call, way to utilize your talent, your quarterback and his skill set. It's just unfortunate that it fumbled. Now, to the caller's point, the defense, when sudden change happens, there's 2 things. From an offense standpoint, sudden change, you want to capitalize and get a touchdown or whatever it may be. But from a defense, Your job is to limit the points and best case scenario, a 3 and out. And that's exactly what they did. And that speaks volumes again. And to the caller's last point, 5 starters out and that happened. And I don't care what you say. Russell Wilson may not be the guy we saw 5-6 years ago. He's still a pretty formidable opponent. He's very knowledgeable. He's got a lot of skill set. Now, they were out with their receiver after the very second play of the game, whatever that was, one of the best players. But
yeah, Jerry Jeudy went down early.
Went down early, but still, you still got all those guys on the other side that are talented, as we saw again today as well. But hats off to that defense coordinator, and everybody else in that locker room.
615-737-1045. Up next, we go to Jameson, calling in from Iowa this afternoon. Hello, Jameson.
Hey, guys, you got me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
got
sir.
you.
All right. Want to say great victory by the Titans today. I just love the toughness and tenacity that this team shows every single week. Definitely taking on the attitude of coach of, okay, this is we're dealing with. We're going to take care of it and get it figured out a way to get the victory. You know, we lose the 5 starting guys on defense, and we lose other guys as well during the game, like a David Long, like I believe Eric Molden went out as well with a groin injury. So, you know, just every time there's injury or adversity, teams are okay. Let's refresh, refocus, and figure a way to get the job done, because the only way it's going to get done is by all the guys, helping out everybody else on the team there. And also, what about Stonehouse doing some special teams play? Not only putting those balls, but also the kickoffs as well. That was amazing today by him stepping in for Randy Bullock when he had to switch out there for his injury situation. So, all in all, great victory. Wish offense will get a little better going, but Ryan Town looked good today. His first game back, so let's keep it rolling, and let's just tighten up for the next victory against Packers.
Thank you, Jameson. Ryan Stonehouse is a dude,
I was
man.
going to say, it's good to be young, boy, have young legs. That dude,
Man, man.
he has a foot of stone. Goodness gracious. I mean, that joker is booting that ball. I think he had a 74-yard punt
He
today,
did.
net 54.
Uh-huh.
Golly.
And I have never seen before a team take a delay of game on purpose from their own 40. Like the Titans from their own 40-yard line decided, no, we want Ryan Stonehouse to have a little more room. And took a delay of game on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
And Ryan Stonehouse still put it on about the 2-yard line, and it just kind of trickled into the end zone for a touchback. That's not criticizing Ryan Stonehouse. It's praising the fact that that dude has such a big leg that you feel like you've got to give him more room at the 40 on your own 40.
When he gets his short game together,
Whew.
you know, I'm using that golf parody because it is
Similar.
a lot like golf, very
It
similar.
really is.
When he gets that short game together, man, he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler
He might be first team All-Pro this year.
because his what is his net right now? Probably well over 47.
He's been
48.
averaging in the 48 range. It's unbelievable.
That's phenomenal.
The Titans are punter you. Between Craig Hendrick, Brett Kern, and this guy, the rookie from Colorado State. It has been very impressive to watch what he has been able to do. And a weapon in games like this.
Yeah, man.
Especially.
Which you can't underestimate considering the offense hasn't been, quote unquote, stellar. You know what I mean? You talk about a guy who's been able to flip the field time and time again. And I think there's a confidence level that Vrabel and Craig Ackerman have in that. To your point, like today, taking a delay of game, unthinkable.
Yeah.
That you do that. Why? Because this dude's going to boot it out the end zone if we don't.
It's
And they knew
wild.
it. And so they were like, let's move it back. So think about the kind of weapon that is with that leg and that power that they have in him. Now, again, I'm in the preseason, I'm like, really? A punter controversy? Like, there's a contest with a competition between punters? Like, who has that?
Yeah.
Like, you never do. Either
Right.
you retire and you move on, like, but now you see why the young leg he's powerful. And once he gets that short game together, how to put that ball in these different corners and pin people back, man. I'm talking about Ray Guy type guy.
I'm serious. It's unbelievable.
Legendary.
Unbelievable what he's been able to do. 615-737-1045 is the number this afternoon on Titans Talkback, presented by League Company. League Company, all you need online at leaguecompany.com. Let's get a couple more calls in here before we take our first break. Next up, Greg in Rhode Island chiming in with us. Good afternoon, Greg.
What's up, guys? As someone out in Rhode Island, I can't watch all the games on TV, but I'm so blessed to have Mike Keith and Coach Mack. And, when it's a penalty flag goes up, and they'll tell you like it is if it's BS, and we've just been ripped by the refs. But, like Mike Keith said today, they were making Kroger pay because sacks were coming up all over the place. And it was just the lunch pail guys getting it done. It was the reason for the win. You had Dylan Cole. You had Nick Westbrook-Akina getting the job done. Dreamweaver, all over the place. I mean, just an all-over team win, and that's the culture. That's Titans football, baby.
That's right.
That is his
Thank
culture,
you, Greg.
man.
We appreciate the call.
It's team before me. And you can call Derrick Henry, he's a superstar by all counts of everything. Like he leads, his work ethic, he plays hard. He's the face of the franchise, and rightfully so. But he still has that mentality of team before me, and that is phenomenal in considering how the last 2 years, especially how they've been able to stack up victories. And that mentality, which you can say what you want to say, it's you wouldn't want to say it's rare, but in this fashion, it is, man. It's really, we don't care. We just want to win football games, and we don't have a quote unquote number one wide receiver. You know what? Who cares? Somebody will step up, make a play, and we're going to find a way to win a football game. And that's just that mentality that starts with him.
Nick Westbrook-Akina entered tonight's game with 7 receptions for 138 yards. Today, he had 5 catches for 119 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the 63-yard return to sender that voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, called on Titans radio today on the Flea Flicker. Huge game for him, and an NFL caliber elite catch, so to speak, I guess.
In the corner of the end zone.
A lot of words to say. It was a really good catch in the corner of the end zone in the second quarter.
Absolutely. Toe tapping, man.
Pretty good.
Good field awareness, good ball, great ball. Only person catch it was him. So, again, in a week of everybody questioning them, doubting them, and especially early on, still had some drops and things of that nature. Not necessarily him, but we had some drops. To come up big when the team needed you, essentially I'm gonna say you're the reason, but in part the 2 touchdowns are the reason why you won this football game, and especially the one in the corner end zone. It's pretty tough catch. People don't realize tapping your feet and all your momentum's going against you. Get that toe down, man. That's rough.
Pretty good.
Yeah, he did it.
615-737-1045 is our number this afternoon. Chuck in Clarksville is up next. Hello, Chuck.
Hey guys, I just want us to remember that that prognosticator at the beginning of the season, I think it was Gil Brandt, that said there's no way the Titans could keep up winning 1 game, 4 games.
Right.
And I think are we like 70% for the season? So I mean, good luck on predicting the Titans on 1-score games, because Vrabel has made that a staple point for this Titans team.
He sure has.
Man, great call.
Thanks, Chuck. And the Broncos have now lost 5 1-score games this season with tonight's loss.
Wow. Goes to show you.
I say tonight. It feels like tonight because the sun goes down so early now in November.
But it goes to show you, Will.
Loss.
It goes to show you just how close the NFL is. How even the quote-unquote bad teams are right there. I mean, look at the Detroit-Chicago game today.
Yeah.
That went anywhere. That was like a 1-2 point game. It's like the NFL is a 1-possession game. That's why you hear Vrabel preach about possessions and getting an extra possession and why he manages the clock the way he does, and why you call timeouts in certain situations, and why you may kick a field goal on this circumstance but go for it and 4th down on this, because it's about possessions, because it is literally about one possession or the other, the difference in most NFL games. It's not that Ohio State 55-6 victory or Tennessee 66 to whatever victory. That's not what it is in the National Football League. You very rarely get those. That's what I love about the National Football League. It's so competitive from top to bottom. Even your best teams could have gone, like you said today, Denver, a team that's well below 500, 5 games that are 1 score or less. And if that's the case, you flip those 5 games, we're talking about them one of the best teams in the AFC by record, right?
Right.
And Titans, unfortunately, have won those games. So fans, as you're listening to this, man, be happy where your team is at, because easily could be the other way around. Easily.
Titans are 5-2 in one-score games this year.
Wow. Think about
Losses to Kansas City in overtime and to the New York Giants in week 1.
And you think about that, they had a chance to win that game, right?
Both of them.
So they'd be 6-1 in those circumstances. Really, they
Could
should have
easily
won
be
that one.
7-0.
Could easily be 7-0 in those.
That's right.
Really, the only game where you felt like they weren't in it was that Buffalo game. That was the only game you're like, dang, they got their butts whooped. This is going to be an ugly year. But after that, you really hadn't felt that. It's just you haven't seen that stellar 30, 40-point offensive breakout moment. We've seen bits and pieces. We saw Derrick Henry go off for 200-some-odd yards, and they put up. But we haven't seen the 30, 40-point game outburst. But at the end of the day, 6-3.
6-3.
At the halfway point. So I'm good.
Right.
I'm good with it.
615-737-1045 is the number this afternoon on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Andy is up next with us on the phone lines. Hello, Andy. Hey, Andy, you got us?
Hello.
Hey, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
Hey, it's Randy. He must have misunderstood.
Oh, okay.
I've got three. Titans defense wins championship.
There you go.
And that's all I've got to say, man. That's all I've got to say. As long as we keep winning, I don't care how we win.
Thank you for the call, Randy.
I would love for somebody to do the data comparison to the 2000-2001 Baltimore Ravens with Trent Dilfer at the quarterback. I'm not comparing Tannehill to Dilfer, but the way they won that year, even coming up here and beating us in a nip and tuck type game, they had no offense. If you look at it from a statistical standpoint, we dominated that game and they found a way to win, right, all the way up into the Super Bowl. I'll be curious to see the data comparison to that team at the midway point or 9 games in compared to the Titans at about midway point, 9 games in, whatever, from how many games did they win closely, where they ranked defensively, things of that nature, where they ranked offensively, because they were very similar makeups, if you will, in how they were winning football games. I'd be very curious to see how that looked 20-some odd years later.
Week 1, the 2000 Baltimore Ravens, 16-0 win. Week 2, they won 39-36, lost 19-6. Then 2 straight wins, 37-0 and 12-0 over Cleveland and Cincinnati. A 15-10 win over Jacksonville. And then that Baltimore team, through weeks 7, 8, and 9, lost 3 games in a row, 10-3, 14-6, and 9-6 to the Tennessee Titans. 14-6 to the Titans on October 22nd, 2000, and 9-6 to the Pittsburgh Steelers on October 29th.
Wow.
And that team went on to win the Super Bowl. And Keith Bullock, who co-hosted Ramon, Kayla, and Will with me on Friday, said his exact words were, "We lost to a sorry Baltimore team that year." Were his exact words.
Yep.
But there you go. It can be dirty. It can be ugly in this league. And the 2000-2001 NFL is certainly a different kind of NFL than what we play in 22 and 23. But I think the larger point is the foundation of defense winning championships still counts at any level of football if your defense is at an elite level. Mm-hmm. And missing 5 starters today, sacking Russell Wilson 6 times, this was an elite defensive performance by a defense that is rising up to the top 2 or 3 defenses, I think, in the NFL right now.
Yep. And the NFL is an offensive league. They have stacked the cards against defenses from holding, touching the quarterback. We saw it today with the penalty. You talk about this being an offensive league, but at the end of the day, I don't care how prolific your offense is. If you can't stop somebody, as we saw what happened in that Buffalo KC game, all you need is one stop, right? And it's hard to get them. But if you have a defense that can get you that one stop and give your team that chance to win, that's the teams that usually go on to win Super Bowls. And they find ways to be productive when they need to have that production. And Titans right now, they just need the offense to come meet them at that level just a little bit more. And if they do that, it's the sky's the limit as far as the potential to go in there, because I think they stack up. We've seen them, other than the Buffalo game, but we've seen them against KC. We've seen them against other top AFC teams and where they stack up. Look at what the Giants are doing, one of the best teams in the NFC. And we've seen how they stack up against them. So, now they've got to find some ways. Hopefully, as people are getting more healthy, they can start developing some kind of continuity with offense and start being more productive offensively.
Titans Talkback is presented by Lee Company, with you here until 6:30 on 104.5 The Zone. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. 17-10, the final score. The Titans beat the Broncos. More of your phone calls after this. Thomas will lead us off on the other side of Titans Talkback on 104.5 The Zone.
moving people around. Tannehill takes the snap, looks, fires left corner of the end zone. It's caught by Westbrook-Akine. Is he in? He is. Touchdown! Titans! Nick Westbrook-Akine hauls her in with 12 seconds to go, and the Titans have a strong heartbeat.
That was the lifeline at the end of the first half. Ryan Tannehill finding Nick Westbrook-Akine, the first of his 2 touchdowns today, as the Titans get the win 17-10 over the Denver Broncos this afternoon in Nissan Stadium. With Kevin Dyson, I am Will Boling. Exactly how you drew it up for the Titans right there.
Tell you what, Bill, Will, I say let's get a poll question going.
Okay.
Would you rather your team be 3-6, putting on 30 points a game, or 6-3, winning like the Titans win?
I think I can tell you what 100% of those poll answers are going to be.
You think so? We have
so.
people on here that want to complain about the Titans and saying it's not withstanding. And I get it. It's not pretty. But at the end of the day, I just want my team to win.
Sure.
Pretty or not, I don't care. I just want them to win. I just want them to go as far as they can. Really, as far as you can. You want to get to the Super Bowl, but, you just want them to keep winning and have a chance to play for a Super Bowl. So I'll be interested to see. I wonder how people would pick the ladder, man. They pick a 3-6 and want that explosive offense.
Absolutely right. 615-737-1045 is our number. Thomas in Nashville is up next. What's going on, Thomas?
Hey, guys. I just want to say I'm proud of the win today, and I just want to say I'm glad Tannehill was back. If it wasn't for him, they probably would have not win today, and the defense on Denver was stopping Derrick Henry. And not only that, I want to get y'all's thoughts on the next 3 games between Green Bay, Cincinnati, and Philadelphia, how they're going to play against those, and then I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you, Thomas. Appreciate the call.
You know what? It's another big stretch of games.
It's a gauntlet, man.
It is. Green Bay doesn't look as appetizing as it did when you first saw the schedule come out, but that's just because their struggles. But he's still one of the best quarterbacks to ever play this game. And you still got to worry about him. The confidence of the receivers and what they're going through is probably very similar to what the Titans are going through. A lot of doubt and a lot of criticism, a lot of answers to questions of when you guys going to step it up for your quarterback, so to speak. As long as they still have those doubts and they're losing, there's even more pressure on those individuals. And I'll flip to the other one. The Eagles, I mean, it is what it is.
It's a machine, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're the best team in the NFL right now.
100%.
And that is another opportunity to see where you line up. Now, the Bengals in between all that's all well and good, and that's another challenge. And there's a revenge factor in that one, considering that's the team that knocked you out of the playoffs and home field advantage, the whole 9, but they did go Super Bowl. So that is what it is. That one, that's kind of like, that's the asterisk one. You had that one eyeballed. That was bulletin board. I can't wait to get to that one sort of game anyway. We owe you something. But that Eagles game, to me, is similar to the Chiefs and Bills game. Where do we stack up? If we're fortunate enough to make it, and they are as well, how do we stack up against the elites?
Right.
And so far, the Titans are 1-1, if you will, when they're stacking up against the elites. You know, they're 0-2 on record, but 1-1 in performance and having the opportunity to win. The way they lost to the Chiefs with a backup quarterback, defense almost playing 100 snaps. I'm like, okay, them circumstances, they probably come out with that victory, right?
They belonged on the same field.
Hey, come on. Buffalo game, that was
they
like,
did not belong
they
on the
did not
same
belong
field
out there
against Buffalo.
That Philly game, and I'm not trying to look too far ahead. You still got these other ones ahead of them, but that Philly game is giving you an opportunity to see how you stack up.
615-737-1045, the number. We go to Macklin up next with us on the phone lines. Hello, Macklin.
Hi. I'd like to talk about, how do you guys think that the Titans' defense injury is affecting how they're playing?
Good question. Thank you, Macklin.
Great question. Offensively, it hasn't been as productive as the defense. I think the defense has definitely stepped up with all the injuries. I mean, today having 6 sacks from different guys. I mean, Cole, Tart, Walker, Weaver, 6 sacks between the 4 of them. And, you know, Weaver's been pretty consistent this year. For a guy who was probably going to be your key backup contributor as far as edge rushers and things like that, when guys got hurt and he had to step up into a more productive role, he has stepped up. He's been pretty productive, pretty consistent this year. And so hats off to him. But, this team, the resiliency and preparation, I think it goes back to. And what's interesting is I hear those words coming out, and it's for every offense, every NFL team has those same words. But if you listen to how the New England Patriots over the 20-something year run that they've had with Belichick, it was always knowing your assignment and being prepared. Regardless of who's out there, you give yourself a chance to win because you have done your due diligence. You have studied your film. You know your assignment. You know your role. And that is always going to give you opportunity to win whoever steps in the lineup. Now, sometimes it is mano a mano. Sometimes that guy, you got to beat that guy across you in a one-on-one. And we saw several times with offensive line today struggled. Even though they only gave up one sack, there was a couple of times I'm like, woof, that was rough. But at the end of the day, preparation, know your assignment, no mental errors, wasn't a whole lot of penalties today. The one turnover came off of the quarterback and running back miscommunication. That was the one turnover today. And if you can do that sort of thing, you give yourself a better chance to win as well.
615-737-1045 is the number. A perfect segue tonight into our Kroger Sacks for Cash. Tonight, the Titans add 6 sacks of Russell Wilson, adding $600 courtesy of Rashad Weaver, Dylan Cole, Mario Edwards, Naquan Jones, and DeMarcus Walker for the season. Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee now stands at $3,600 with those 6 sacks today. Every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100 to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan. Kroger is committed to ending hunger in our communities. And a stat that was interesting, Kevin Dyson, from Teron Davenport of ESPN during this game. This was tweeted about halfway through the fourth quarter. Said the Titans rushed only 4 guys on 30 of Russell Wilson's dropbacks. That was 83% of the time. They only rushed 4. They got pressure on 13 of those dropbacks. Wow. Which is 43% of the time that Russell Wilson was dropping back to pass. And at that point, the Titans only had 4 sacks. So 2 of their 4 sacks at that point of the game came with a 4-man rush. The question was, how have the Titans changed what they're doing defensively with new faces? The answer is they haven't. They continue to have the same success in the same formula. It just wasn't Jeffrey Simmons and Bud Dupree. It was DeMarcus Walker, Tier Tart, and Mario Edwards.
Yeah. Yeah. And similar, and if I'm going back just the game just for a second, that's what the Chiefs were able to do against the Titans. They were dropping 7 guys, only rushing 4, and people were saying, well, get open. Man, there's 3 receivers out and 7 guys covering. And that makes it hard to complete passes when you got all zones of the field covered and everybody's playing well, and I'm making it difficult to make plays, that is. But that speaks volumes to the guys coming in reserve role or extended roles, some of them moving from backup to starter today and being super productive. Nobody said you had to come in and be Big Jeff. Just come in and be the best version of yourself, and that's good enough. Know your assignment, know your responsibility, and be resilient. And that's exactly what those guys did today. Them up front, man, they were a big difference maker in this game today, putting that pressure on Russ Wilson, man. And that, to me, from a defense perspective, helped especially injuries on that back half of that defense today.
We go to Chris in Lewisburg up next at 615-737-1045. Hello, Chris.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Hey, I thought that was a big win. And, a lot of people are negative because everybody would like to have an offense like Kansas City or Buffalo, but that's just not what the Titans are. And what I wanted to point out was Ryan Tannehill. He did a very gutsy performance today, and they pretty much took Derek away, and Tanny made enough throws to win the game. But going forward, that's going to be the nightmare he's going to have to face in the playoffs, because when a team stops Derek, Tannehill has to make enough throws to win the game, and that's what he's never been able to do. But I'm hoping and praying that he can this year. Go Titans.
Thanks, Chris.
Good call.
19 of 36, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ryan Tannehill only took 1 sack in this game.
Yeah. I mean, he had some pressure, and there was a couple of times guys got beat a little bit, but he only sacked 1 time.
That surprises me because it felt like there was somebody right around him every single
snap. When I saw that, I was like, no way don't he have one.
I know there was 1 sack specifically that was negated from a defensive holding penalty.
True. That's true.
I want to say there was another one that, it was an offsides penalty. Ryan Tannehill took a sack, and there was a flag thrown about halfway through the play for offsides, which is not supposed to happen.
That one, Vrabel was hot.
That was in the first half.
Yeah, that was first half.
Where the Broncos were offsides. The side judge throws the flag halfway through the play, and Ryan Tannehill goes down. You would know it's a free play, and you're going to take a shot down the field, which at that point the Titans are having 0 success doing that. And B, you got a quarterback that's not at 100%. That's then put in harm's way because a guy was offsides and you didn't blow up dead immediately. That cannot happen. Yep. I thought that crew had a rough night today, a rough day today.
There was another play early in the first half, too, and the Broncos were backed up, and I didn't think Russ Wilson got outside the pocket. I saw Vrabel come down. He threw that away. That should have been intentional grounding in the end zone. Should have been 2 points for the Titans. But think about this. You talked about it, 4-man rush, quarterback hurries. And it seemed way more than this. But Denver only had 4 quarterback hurries today and 1 sack.
Crazy.
The Titans, 18. 18 quarterback hurries and 6 sacks. 9 tackles for loss.
Difference of the game today.
Wow.
Difference
in the game. It did not feel like that, but, man, that's pretty substantial. Them numbers right there are telling.
Right. Certainly is. 615-737-1045. One more call before we head to a break. Adam in Portland is up next. What's going on, Adam?
Hey, man. Yeah, go Titans. I don't remember being this fired up about a Titans win since probably the 2019 playoff win over Baltimore. Like, that's how good I feel about this one. And if you're highlighting MVP performers, how about Mike Vrabel? It doesn't matter who we roll out there, man. He has proven time and again he does more with less. Titans fans, I hear you. I see you on social media. I know you don't like Downing. Downing doesn't sign these players. If you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at J-Rob. But as far as this coaching staff goes, man, they coach the fire out of these. Who is Edwards? Like, they coach the fire out of these guys, man. And 3 sacks, like, that guy comes in off the street. You know, he's here a couple of weeks and gets 3 sacks. Like, that's a system thing. That is coaching at its finest. If you want to know who the best coach in the league is, look in Tennessee. And if you ever doubt Vrabel, come back to this 17-10 Titan Bronco win. We lost 5 defensive starters today, man. I've never heard anybody doing that and winning a game. So go Titans, big team effort.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate the call.
5 pretty significant starters, too.
Amani Hooker, Christian Fulton, Bud Dupree, Zach Cunningham, and Big Jeff.
Which probably was the biggest one of all of them. Not
Huge.
No disrespect to the other guys, but Big Jeff is, to me, he's number 1B D tackles in the National Football League. Him and Aaron McDonald.
One thing I did notice, T.R. Tart rocking the red sleeve and the red gloves and cleats today without Jeffrey Simmons in there. It really did. I think DeMarcus Walker did too.
Yeah, because
there were 2 of them
channel the inner Big
that
Jeff.
wore the red sleeves. And we talked with Keith Bullock about this on Friday, where he said, "Man, I asked for those as a custom order when I got here."
Yeah,
and then it became, all right, if you're a playmaker, you get to wear the red. And Keith Bullock always jokes and says, "Man, everybody wears the red now. It's not special anymore." Those guys looked like Jeffrey Simmons, literally the way they played and the way they looked.
Yeah,
today, no doubt about it.
The big red with the red gloves, things like that. That was kind of unique. I think Keith started that. Matter of fact,
he did. Oh, yeah, he did.
But today though, he channeled his inner Big Jeff, going almost looking like him today. But
sure did.
I mean, hey, that's what you want, man.
It is.
A guy to step up when the chips are down. The people are doubting, like, well, they're gonna give up 30 points today. Hope the offense can step up. Nah, not at all.
Absolutely.
You know what though? That first half of that game seemed to go forever, didn't it?
It was a long first half.
It was a lot of 3 and outs, and until the end there, they gave up the big play by the Titans, and then the Titans going down for 13-play drive. But other than that, it was just like it was just not I say boring, but 3 and out, 3 and out.
It's just one of the longer games the Titans have played all year.
Absolutely. Oof.
Sure was. The Titans trust their home stadium to League Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, Visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. 615-737-1045 is how you chime in tonight on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. More of your phone calls after this, beginning with Gene and JC up next on 1045 The Zone.
Titans showing blitz. Wilson looking. Wilson in trouble, stepping up. Wilson, sack! Dylan Cole! That's 100 more. This defense is trying to break Kroger.
There's Mike Keith on the call. One of 6 sacks tonight and $600 from Kroger to Second Harvest of Middle Tennessee. How about that? Dylan Cole getting a sack and the Titans getting a 17-10 win over the Denver Broncos. Titans Talkback is presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need online at leecompany.com. And the phone number to call in is 615-737-1045. As hour 2 of our coverage continues here tonight on 104.5 The Zone. And we'll continue in about 15 minutes as Kayla Anderson, our new teammate on 104.5 The Zone, will join us to share her thoughts on this win. But right now, we head back to the phones where Gene is in Nashville. And up next to talk with us. What's going on, Gene? How are you?
Doing great, thanks. Pleasure being on. I didn't get to watch the game on TV. I was out gardening and listened to it on the radio, but it sounded like a monster. Now, my question's about our new, apparently not-so-secret weapon, Stone Cold Stonehouse, and the kicking strategy here. I enjoyed the discussion about the short game. Yes, he needs that. But is it conceivable that he could become a lethal weapon on field goals out at the 75-yard mark, et cetera?
Yeah, thanks, Gene. I doubt it. I think you have enough kickers who are available, and I know Gene is asking just specifically on regardless of what Randy Bullock's injury is that he picked up in this game, just simply as a weapon with a healthy Randy Bullock. I think those are such different motions and different things to do that it takes a different kind of accuracy to kick that far versus punt that far.
Absolutely. You know, I think for a kicker, and again, I'm trying to the comparison to golf. For a kicker, sometimes when you get extended, just like a golfer, and you say, I'm going to crush this, you tend to overswing, and that's when you get the hooks and the fades, if you will, of a football. For a punter, the motion is very different. You can kind of swing away. I think the difference between me for Stonehouse is how is his short game compared to his long game, which is his drive ball. And I think you're allowing him to do kickoffs. That's right up his wheelhouse. He has a foot of stone, I think, but have him do those long kicks, it's a lot different than trying to place it between those uprights, man, and shooting it from 50, 60 yards. He can get it there. I'm not worried about him getting there, but the accuracy piece is not necessarily there. That's a different skill set.
It certainly is. But appreciate the call, Gene. I think it's a valid point, specifically with the health of Randy Bullock being in question coming out of this game, and Ryan Stonehouse giving you some kicks on kickoff duty. But I think especially with a rookie, you keep things simple for that guy and continue keeping him in the same comfort zone that he is currently in right now. JC in Hendersonville is up next, where you can join us at 615-737-1045 tonight on Titans Talkback. Hello, JC.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good.
I just want to know, Kevin, why doesn't it matter how we win? Because this is obviously, this is a good team, but it's not a team that's going to, make a run in the playoffs.
Well, let me ask you why I have you on here then. Would you rather your team be below 500 and flip their record around, be 3-6, and win those 3 games, like blowing teams out, 30 points on the board, or would you rather be 6-3?
I would rather be blowing teams out and be 6-3.
I'd say to flip it. I would say blow teams out and be 3-6, as opposed to being 6-3 and winning the way they are. Which one would you prefer?
Okay, I would rather be 6-3. But
there you go.
Just tell me how this is going to work in the playoffs. I don't see this team making a serious run right now.
Well, the way it's going to work is the way it worked in 2019 when you made the AFC Championship game, playing this exact same way.
Yeah.
2020, you had this incredible offense, and you couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
You were good that year. You didn't make a run of the playoffs, and that team was dynamic on offense. And that team was beating teams that were really good. That team blew out Buffalo here in Nissan Stadium, one and done in the postseason.
Yeah.
Last season, it was a mix of the two, but the way you make a run in the playoffs is by doing exactly what you did in 2019.
You got to be able to get stops. But I appreciate the call, and I understand what he's saying, and I get it, because if you look at past winners, Chiefs, Rams, whoever else, seemingly, offensively, they have been dominant and stellar, putting up 30, 40 points, being able to get in shootouts and come out winning. Titans don't seem to be built that way. However, the Titans have been able to dictate their terms on defense, which is hard enough to do in the National Football League. They are making teams, they're keeping games close, giving themselves chances to win games at the end. So that's why I wanted them to understand, which one would you prefer? Would you prefer to be putting up all these points and having these dynamic offensive production and be 3-6, or would you rather be 6-3 and winning ugly? Now, to his question about how is this going to translate in the playoffs, again, that's all about matchups. We've seen as prolific as that offense has been for the Chiefs, the Titans give them fits. For whatever reason, Titans have their numbers. So if we match up against them, who knows?
Wrap it up. Let's go.
Up until this last time against the Buffalo Bills, they've had the Bills number.
Right.
And again, those are two of the top teams in there. Baltimore, that's been a rough one for the Titans for different reasons. I think the quarterback gives anybody fits, but particularly the Titans, right? So it's all about the matchup, and when you get to that point in the season and getting the right kind of matchup in the right kind of moment that's fitting your game at that time. Now they're going to have to find ways to score points. I'm with the caller on that. I don't know if it's sustainable for continuous. You're going to have to find points somewhere. At some point, I feel like you're going to have to put up 24 to 30-something points to win a football game. These 17-10, 21-22, whatever it is, at some point, something's got to break. You're going to have to put up some points. But as long as my team is winning, I'm okay. Just keep winning.
And here's the other thing. The last two Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Super Bowl 55 in Tampa, beat the Kansas City Chiefs 31-9. In that game, they were 4 of 12 on third downs, had 195 passing yards, and 340 total yards. Last season, the Los Angeles Rams beat the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20 in Super Bowl 56. In that game, Cam Akers led the Rams with 13 carries for 21 yards. That LA Rams offense that is so dynamic only had 313 total yards. Titans today had 307 total yards. And in that game, it took a sack on a fourth down by Aaron Donald, a defender, again.
So what you're saying,
making
defense
a play
wins championships.
Defense still wins championships. and although you need a dynamic offense and you need a quarterback that can make enough plays to get you to a Super Bowl,
yeah,
nobody's disputing that.
Right.
Nobody's disputing the fact that the Titans cannot continue to have 0 receptions by wide receivers and win games and go on a run.
Absolutely.
I will 100% agree with that statement.
Yep.
But the idea that this Titans team just isn't an option to go on a run and get hot at the right time because they're a defense-first teams. Look at the last two Super Bowl champions and what their defenses did in the biggest moments on the biggest stages to win games single-handedly. Look at what Von Miller did for the Denver Broncos and winning Peyton Manning his last ring back in 2016. I mean, this idea that you can't be ugly and do this and make a run, the best Titans run under Mike Vrabel happened when it was about as ugly as it possibly has been over the last 5 years, since 2018. I mean, I'm just sick of this conversation because it's the same exact talking in circles every single time. Well, can the Titans keep winning like this? I mean, it's just the analytics and the numbers say it's not sustainable. It's sustainable because they are literally doing it as we're having the conversation.
And I said it earlier. I said, at some point, even those high prolific offenses have to find ways to stop people. And you gave great examples. And I thought about even that Chiefs a few years ago when they made their run and how much they were putting. They had a 2,000-yard receivers and the running back and the quarterback was through for 40-something hundred yards. But their defense got hot as well. Same thing with the Bengals last year. Their defense got hot.
Right.
You talk about the Rams. People talk about that offense is because of Kupp and all these other guys. But Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and Eric Weddle, who came out of retirement, guys like that, their defense was really the difference in their turnaround in that season, if you will. And I say turnaround, they won a lot of football games, but how they got to Super Bowl and eventually won the Super Bowl. In Tampa Bay, the year they went to Super Bowl, Tom Brady is who he is. He's the GOAT.
Right.
And I was biased. Peyton Manning, I drafted with him. I was always biased. But hands down, Tom Brady's the GOAT.
Me too.
Right? Yeah. But everybody talks about him. But that defense, how many turnovers did they and things that they generate and sacks that they generate through that playoff run? And you have a defense that's a championship caliber, playing at a championship caliber right now. You just need the offense to be a little bit more productive, and you give yourself a chance. And that's all you ask for right now. Now, is it sustainable? It remains to be seen. Right now it is.
Right.
Continue to – hey, I guarantee you there's a lot of teams right now. You think Denver Broncos wouldn't trade them right now?
Whew.
Come on now.
They're on their way towards their 7th straight losing season.
Come on.
How unbelievable is that?
I guarantee you they would trade places with the Titans right now. 6-3 is a whole lot better than 3-6 or 3-7, whatever they are. Come
Certainly
on.
is.
I'd take it.
615-737-1045 is the number. Larry is up next in Nashville calling in with us tonight. What's going on, Larry?
Hey. Yeah, I was just saying that if the Titans are barely beating these losing teams, there's no way they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm a Titans fan, but they're not going to the Super Bowl if they can't stomp these losing teams. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, thanks, Larry. Well, one of those losing teams you beat handily almost beat the Philadelphia Eagles in primetime last week. Are they a Super Bowl team, possibly?
Possibly.
I would say so.
Yeah. I mean, they're the class of the NFL right now. They're the only undefeated team.
Yeah. I would certainly say so. 615-737-1045 is the number this afternoon if you want to jump in. Lance in Clarksville is up next. Hello, Lance.
How you doing? I just got a couple things right quick. Number one, that Moulton kid that came back off the IR today, did he get hurt again? Because he seems like he's just a ball player. Second thing is they need to change Dylan Cole's name to Bubba Cole because he hit that guy on that punt return like 1970 knocked your jock off. And the last thing is I wish we had that third-round pick for Willis and got an offensive lineman, maybe got lucky with the offensive line, but I'll just hang up and listen. Thank you.
Thank you for the call, Lance. The one answer I can certainly give you is on Elijah Molden. He did come back from one injury, came back on the obviously the hamstring at the beginning of the season, and then was out for the game with a groin problem, and that was late third quarter, early fourth, if I'm not mistaken. But he did suffer a groin injury and was ruled out today.
Yeah, and that's pretty common. There's the trickle-down effect or trickle-up effect. Like if you have one injury, other muscle groups start to compensate, and you start overworking those other muscle groups to compensate for the prior injury. That's one thing, man, I wish I would have paid more attention to in my rehab process and the injuries that I had and going back and forth from one year to the next, and the injuries try to trickle down. Like it went from my knee to my hamstring to my Achilles. It was just, just boom, boom, boom. And that is typical. It's going to be something else he's going to have to treat in rehab and make sure that he's doing a rehab for the total body and strengthening all his muscle groups, specifically the ones that you don't think you're going to use, or that you're like, if it's on your right side, make sure that left side is getting strong because you're overworking that side anyway. But I hope he's all right. I hope it's nothing that's going to be out for a long period of time. It's just a strain, if you will, not a pull. But I'm not shocked considering the injury he's coming off of.
615-737-1045 is the number this afternoon on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Lee Company, all you need. Visit them online at leecompany.com. After this, we hear from our newest teammate on 104.5 The Zone, Kayla Anderson of Ramon, Kayla, and Will stops by to share her biggest takeaways from tonight's win and look ahead to a very quick turnaround on Thursday night in Lambeau Field. Plus, more of your phone calls as well, 615-737-1045. We will get to everyone here still waiting before we let you go here this afternoon. So hang on with us if you're on the phone lines. If you can't, then certainly we will continue the reaction after we talk to Kayla as well this afternoon. That's all coming up next on Titans Talkback, presented by League Company as the Titans beat the Broncos 17-10. Titans 17, Broncos 10. Your phone calls at 615-737-1045 on Titans Talkback, presented by League Company. League Company, all you need online at leaguecompany.com. Alongside Dr. Kevin Dyson, I am Will Boling as we continue to react to another ugly yet beautiful Titans win on an ugly day in Nashville. It did not feel like November, that is for sure. And we go to the phones to hear from our newest teammate at 104.5 The Zone, Kayla Anderson, weekdays from 6 to 10. You can hear her right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. What's going on, Kayla? Welcome to the show.
What is up, gentlemen? Like you said, yes, another win that might not satisfy everyone in the terms of offensive performances. But you know what? A win is a win, and I can tell you that locker room was enjoying every single bit of it.
Yeah, they certainly seem to be just following along on social media, Kayla. And whether it's the passing game taking a step or this defense missing 5 starters, rising to the occasion once again with the 6 sacks. What was the biggest thing that stuck out to you about this performance tonight for the Titans?
Defense, again. And look, that's nothing to take away from the things that I thought were improved with the offense today. I'll get to that in a moment. But just the thing that stood out to me is you are missing your big-time guys. Jeffrey Simmons, Bud Dupree, Amani Hooker, Christian Fulton, and you're able to go out there and plug and play like you feel like this team has been doing all season long. But that's with missing the guys that have really been producing for you all season. And some of these guys, you've got fans that are tweeting you saying, who is this? You know, and you're having to say, well, this guy joined the team a few weeks ago, but he's stepping up when he needs to step up. But, you know, guys like Mario Edwards Jr., who has just really come on the scene in the past couple of weeks for the Titans, another good game for him. DeMarcus Walker, his former Florida State teammate, coming up big today. Terrence Mitchell with the play at the end there, and Rashad Weaver continuing to contribute when he needs to. I just can't say enough about this Titans defense and the mentality that they have. They want to play for each other, play for this team. Rashad Weaver said it today. We were foaming at the mouth, knowing that this is the situation we were in and that we had to come in and get it done. And that's what they did.
They certainly did. And the offense gets going a little bit as well. Titans start 1 for 7 on third downs in this game. They finish 5 of their last 9 on third downs, finishing 6 of 16. Just an incredible performance by Ryan Tannehill as well, who you could certainly tell was still not 100% today.
No, and you could especially tell after he took the ball and ran a little, he was limping a little to the huddle on that one, but it just goes to show you can question all you want how tough this guy is and why didn't he play in the last 2 games. I mean, that's ridiculous if you're questioning his toughness, because you ask any single guy, defensive or offensive guy on that team, and the first thing they do is their eyes light up and they're like, that guy is one tough dude. And, you know, that was the same kind of consensus we were getting today from the locker room. But yeah, for him to go out there and really just stick with it, I think that's the biggest thing for this Tennessee Titans offense today. They needed to make some plays down the stretch. They haven't been good in second halves. They were able to do enough today to get it done. And Ryan Tannehill, I thought, did a really good job when you look at the rushing numbers, and really Derrick Henry, not big in this game at all. 19 carries for 53 yards, 0 touchdown, average 2.8 yards per carry. We're not used to seeing that. And so a little bit more was put on a not 100% healthy Ryan Tannehill, and he was able to get it done. And give the line a little bit of credit. I know that I heard you guys talking earlier about you felt like he was pressured a lot in this game. Yes, but, you know, they only allowed 1 sack. I think that's a big step in the right direction for this offensive line as well.
Hey, Kayla, how are you?
What's up, Dr. Dyson?
I'm doing all right. Hey, so you mentioned Derrick Henry, and we talk about he was pedestrian compared to his normal production, what we'll be calling normal the last few years. But at the beginning of the year, he wasn't his normal self, if you will. But in part, some of that has been the inconsistencies in the passing game. Today, we got the first-round draft pick here. He came back. What was your assessment of him today?
Yeah, I think that we're so used to kind of relying on Derrick Henry to be the guy who is the glue for this offense. And really so far this season, that has been the case, especially when Ryan Tannehill has been out with the injuries. But at the same time, I think sometimes you have to expect this type of game, especially when you know time and time again that these, you know, defenses are planning for the Titans to do exactly what they do, and that's run the ball. But I think that, you know, the Titans mixed it up a little bit in this game, you know, going with Tannehill a little bit more than you may have thought. And I think Derrick Henry got a little bit frustrated on a couple of the runs. And, we didn't see as much out of him today, but I don't think that is a sign of anything bad. And for anybody who was wondering, because there were some reports that he went to the blue tent, that was just because he was going to the bathroom. So just want to let everybody know he was fine. There were no injuries, nothing with the foot or anything. But sometimes he's going to have one of those days where he's just not going to be that 100-yard Derrick Henry. I think he had 5 straight games with 100 yards. This obviously not one of them. But, again, you have to know how this team works. And if he can't step up, other guys do. And today it was NWI.
Yep. So there's 2 quarters of football left, 8 games. And how we used to break it down when I played, we break it down to quarters. So 16 games, we have 4 quarters. There's 2 quarters left of football. This first quarter is pretty tough. You got the Packers, the Bengals, the Eagles and Jags, another divisional opponent. The second quarter, however, you got Chargers, Texans, Cowboys, and Jags again. It's break down both quarters, so it's kind of a 2-part question. What's a realistic expectation for this team if the offense continues to struggle to look for in each of those quarters? Are we looking at 3-1, 4-0? What are we looking at?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm looking here at the schedule, and you just kind of pointed it out here. So I'm going to visually look at it because I'm a visual person here. But okay. So you got the Packers next week. Look, we all know the struggles that the Packers are enduring right now. Aaron Rodgers, I just don't think has this team playing as a team. We've talked about it so much on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Like he wasn't there putting in the extra time in the offseason trying to bond with these new guys that he has. They've endured injuries.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, the Packers going up to Green Bay, I don't care what you say, it's a tough place to play in. And if they're going to have success up there, I feel like it's got to be a Derrick Henry type of day, just with the cold weather and the type of football you need to play up there. With saying that, I do truly feel like they can get that done. The Bengals game worries me. I'm not going to lie. That game still worries me because Joe Burrow can, he can throw it around the yard. They had issues last year, even though they got pressure on him. He's got a lot of weapons. So I could see that probably maybe being a loss there. And then at the Eagles, I think you all know what's going on with the Eagles right now. And I'll be the first to say I kind of doubted Jalen Hurts coming into the season, and he's proven me completely wrong. So I think that might be an L. But the rest of the way, you got the Jags, Chargers, who are completely underwhelming this year in what they're doing. The Texans, again, a team that, they have the parts but just can't put it together. I think those are wins. Cowboys, I think it can go either way. And I say this, Dr. Dyson, because you know how the Cowboys always seem to kind of go the opposite way when they need to keep going forward.
Absolutely.
So it could be that type of a situation at the end of the season for the Cowboys. So that game could go either way. And the Jags might still win from them. So you never know at the end of the season. So, I got them at least winning 4 more.
Kayla Anderson from Ramon, Kayla, and Will here weekdays on 104.5 The Zone with us today on Titans Talkback. Kayla, Terrence Mitchell adds an interception today. It's a few weeks after he was a scapegoat for a lot of people in that win over the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 3 in Nissan Stadium. I think a lot of credit goes to this secondary who only had 6 players healthy at the end of this game. Yeah, they had a lot of help up front, but that secondary played perhaps its best game tonight.
I can't believe the performance in terms of stepping up in that situation, because you did have Christian Fulton out. You had Lonnie Johnson Jr., who went out with an injury. You had, if you didn't realize this, it wasn't talked about as much because he hasn't played a lot, but Caleb Farley left the game with a back injury, guys, and did not return. And I know that he hasn't been producing, but that's just another guy that wasn't available. And Terrence Mitchell, give a lot of credit to this dude who came in, another guy that was signed, off the streets is what we call it with this team, and was able to contribute in a big way today, getting it done there down the stretch. It was funny because I ran into him in the locker room, and he was just getting done talking with a whole bunch of media. And he just had a giant smile on his face. And I went up to him and I said, congratulations. And he said, thank you so much. He's like, right now I'm just looking for some toothpaste to brush my teeth. And I was like, this is what's so great about this Titans team. Like, these guys are regular dudes, stepping up in big situations. And yeah, he's just one of those guys on the defense that made a difference today. But again, this is becoming just a regular thing for this team.
Well, my last question is, so we've talked about this defense and the resiliency and perseverance of this defense, but it's that next guy up. In this 9-game sample size, who on that defense side of the ball, from the unsung heroes, has been the most impressive to you?
Wow, that's like difficult to say, because I feel like there's been a lot of guys. Let's mention a guy like Andrew Adams, right? Who has had some really good games. Is been a guy that tackles well. I think that's a name that nobody even knew about. That he's been a contributor. And lately, the guy that's coming on strong, Mario Edwards Jr. This is somebody, again, who I remember sitting in the locker room during the week where we'd go in and nobody was going to talk to him because he wasn't really playing much. And then, you have all these injuries start to happen. And when you need guys like that specifically to step up, they're able to do that. I mean, I would point to him as well, and his former FSU teammate, like I said, DeMarcus Walker. Talk about a guy that has so much appreciation for the game, you guys. I don't know if you know that he played for the Broncos, right? And he, in the locker room today, was just asked about, coming back and getting some revenge against his former team. He absolutely lit up and just was going off. And I loved it, because you knew how much it meant to him to be able to produce for this Titans team today. So those are just a few that come to my mind.
Kayla Anderson with us on Titans Talkback tonight, presented by League Company. You can hear Kayla weekdays from 6 to 10 with me, with Ramon Foster on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone. Kayla, we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning, and thank you for a couple minutes here.
Hey, appreciate it, guys. Have a great rest of the night.
Have a good night.
All right, there is Kayla Anderson with us here tonight on Titans Talkback as we continue the conversation on the phone lines at 615-737-1045, and we'll jump right back to the phone lines. We've got a number of you still waiting to chime in tonight over the Titans' 17-10 win over the Denver Broncos. Up next, we go to Noah in Nashville on the phones with us. What's going on, Noah?
Hey, I know, the Titans had a good game against the Broncos and like that. So the question is about Jeffrey Simmons as the same position Albert Haynesworth. Is Jeffrey Simmons as most likely as a good player like Albert Haynesworth?
Thank you, Noah.
What was that?
The question was, is Jeffrey Simmons becoming as good as Albert Haynesworth was?
Who? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Albert, when he turned it on, he was one of, and not the best defense interior lineman in the National Football League. He was unstoppable. And he would even tell you now, as he's older and he's able to reflect, that he didn't do that nearly enough and consistent enough. And that was his immaturity of himself and growing up and being a man. And he would even tell you that, having conversations with him. I think Big Jeff right now, from a consistency standpoint, a day in, day out, every rep, every play, giving it all you have, absolutely. But talent for talent, Albert was a phenomenal talent. Like, people don't realize how good that man was and how good he potentially could be. He was on that track for Hall of Fame type career. That's how good of a player Albert was. And he wouldn't even tell you, he left some meat on the bone in his career as well. So absolutely, I think Big Jeff is a pretty remarkable talent. Is he on that Hall of Fame track himself? That remains to be seen. He's still young. He's got to, become a perennial Pro Bowler, which I think he's destined to be. I think he's now becoming a household name, not just in Tennessee, but globally, and I think that helps, like Aaron Donald. I think you talk about, though, you're going to be compared to the best, and Aaron Donald, to me, is the best in the game, and he's right there.
Health was a concern for Albert Haynesworth at times, and that didn't play a lot of season. Really only had one season where he played 16 games, and that was his rookie campaign for the Titans in 2002. But when you look at their numbers comparatively, Jeffrey Simmons last year had 8.5 sacks for the Titans. That matched the career high in a single season for Albert Haynesworth back in 2008.
Right.
When Albert was just mauling people on that Titans defensive front that was so good in that 2008 season. He had 8.5 sacks that year, 6 sacks the year before that in 2007. Jeffrey Simmons, 3 sacks in 2020, 8.5 in 2021. I would argue that they're different players in the sense that Jeffrey Simmons is a bit more of a pass rusher than Albert Haynesworth was, I would say. And already Big Jeff with 5.5 quarterback sacks this year. But Jeffrey Simmons, the benefit of playing just more games in those seasons as well. But I think certainly similar players. And look, the point is that those two guys are maulers on defensive fronts for two really good Titans defenses.
That's why I give the nod to Aaron Donald. I mean, you don't get 20 sacks, interior lineman. You just don't do that.
It's crazy.
I mean, at that you have to give him. That's unique, man. And I'm not saying that Big Jeff doesn't have that ability, and he probably takes on more double teams than any other interior lineman, I'm sure. But that is the difference. When you got a guy that's getting you 15 to 20 sacks from the interior lineman standpoint, that's just, that's just unique.
Ridiculous.
Man. That's ridiculous. So that's why Aaron Donald's the best in the game, and I think Big Jeff is on his way to take that throne whenever he retires.
Next up, we go to Jacob on the phone lines with us, where you can join us at 615-737-1045. Hello, Jacob.
Hello.
Hey, you're on.
I know. So I want to talk about Westbrook Akina and how he had a great game today, and how Ryan Tannehill has to start passing into him more.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think Tannehill, if the team's going to be able to get more productive in the offense, they got to go ahead and let him be free. They got to be creative in the passing game. I think still got to create some plays, not outside of your here's what we run sort of play calling, and just being creative like they did today. You saw it with the flea flicker and giving guys opportunity to make plays downfield. I still think I want to see receivers help their quarterbacks out and win more of the 50-50 balls, make more of the tough catches, in traffic with guys hanging on you. You've seen Hooper step up and do that. You've seen a couple guys step up and make some plays. But in order to help and be more productive and offensively, you like to see the other guys do a little bit more often. And I think that's the separation in the really good guys in the National Football League, is that ability. And, I think Tannehill is definitely a key component. They're going to have to utilize him. And, the playoff last year where it was, lack of a better way to say this, Derrick Henry left, Derrick Henry right, and this throw on third down.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that and give yourself a chance to make a run. So they're going to need the passing game at some point.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in on the conversation. KD is up next. We got one KD. Let's add another one. KD in Nashville up next. What's going on, KD?
Well, what's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? Look, I want to talk about Chig, man. I think he need to get more looks, man, more targets, man, because every time I see him get catches, he always do something good. And I don't see why we just can't give him the ball more, just create more plays for him. And our defense too, man. Our defense is awesome. We got probably the number 1 or 2 defense in the NFL, man. So yeah, we need to the offense need to get on court, get on key with the defense, and we'll do our thing, man.
Absolutely. Thanks, KD. Appreciate the call.
Absolutely. And, sport, especially team sport, there's always give and take. Football in particular, there's 3 levels. And a lot of times we talk about offense, talk about defense. We've mentioned a little bit about special teams today, just from a punting perspective. We didn't really talk about the cover game and all that kind of stuff. And okay, that's fine. But that's one aspect. So you want to make sure you win that aspect if you can. But you have to win one of the 2 to give yourself a chance. When you want to win 2/3 of the game, of phases of the game. And the Titans of recent have been winning special teams and defense. Offensively, they have done enough, for the most part, to win football games when needed. When they needed to get a drive the length of the field to give themselves a chance to win a field goal to win the game, what did they do? they did it, and then the special teams didn't win that day because they had to miss kick and they lost.
Uh-huh.
So all that to say, yes, absolutely, you're going to need offense facet of the game to step up at some point. The defense might be struggling. And what game that's going to be, hopefully it's not anytime soon, but there's going to be a time where the defense is struggling, whatever reason. Offensively, you're going to have to match whatever's going on the other side of football, match them. And if they're going down the field and getting 3, you got to go down and get 3 or 7 or whatever it may be. You're going to have to match them at some point.
Yep.
And that's what I think people fear is, do they have that ability to do that? The fortunate part of it is, who cares right now? It's working, whatever's working. But
it is.
If that happens, and when we looked at these schedules and you looked at Cincinnati, you looked at Green Bay, you looked at Kansas City, you looked at Buffalo, you're thinking, man, these are going to be shootout type games. And in the way the season started for Titans, you're like, oof, Titans might get blown at 44-7 in some of these games, whatever it was. But no, their defense is stellar, one of the best defenses in the National Football League, to give their offense a chance to win football games, and that's all you can ask for.
With the exception of one game, the Titans have also forced everyone to play their style of football. I think that's the other part of this that's noteworthy, is even when the Titans have lost, outside of Buffalo, they made the Giants play their style of football. Giants just beat them on the day. You missed a kick at the end of it. It is what it is. Happens in this league. Kansas City, you really made Kansas City play your style of game.
Absolutely.
Because you turned that into a rock fight on the road in perhaps the most difficult environment to win in the National Football League. And so that's important at this point. But what is that next step, that evolution? I think the evolution is creating explosive plays in the passing game the way you did last year with A.J. Brown. Who was the yards after catch guy?
That's it.
And I think Chigakonkwo and Traylon Burks are both options to supply you explosive plays that fits the makeup of this offense. What I mean by that is the offensive line was fine today. They only gave up 1 sack. But you have to do so many things to give Ryan Tannehill enough time to throw the football, considering the kind of offensive linemen that you have and the injury you have at left tackle. These are run-blocking linemen first who pass block, and they also do that. And Dennis Daly at left tackle, you're trying to piece that together a little bit without Taylor Lewan, who obviously is done for the year. This season coming into today's game, Chigakonkwo was averaging 10.5 yards after catch per reception. And then he added a whole lot more to that today on a 41-yard catch. And the analytics and Pro Football Focus hasn't updated yet today and won't for a couple more hours. But essentially had a catch that was 41 yards, and I would argue at least 20 of them were after contact and after the catch, probably 30 of them at that point. I think Chigakonkwo and Traylon Burks are two guys who will continue to grow into this offense, where now you scheme to get them a little open, and they make a lot of space for themselves with the football in their hands. And that has always been the model when A.J. Brown was here. It's just get the ball to 11 and just watch him run around a bunch of dudes and score.
Well, Okonkwo is an interesting prospect for me, especially after this game and the KC games. He has a little bit more Delaney Walker in him than I initially thought.
It's a great comparison.
Man, he can move. He can stretch the field a little bit, and I think when you lose guys at tight ends that have been that for you, you need another guy. Now, the comparison to A.J. Brown and Traylon Burke, that to me was never fair. I think they looked at the body type and put him in that same space, but he's a different style player than A.J. Brown. I like what the Titans did with him today to get the ball in his hand, just wanted to get him a feel for the game again. And then hopefully his role and that playbook expands as we go along. He's still a rookie. He hasn't played a whole lot of football. He's been hurt. So I want to see how this evolves, getting him some touches and elevating his skill set. He's not a home run hitter to me. He's not like A.J. Brown was, where he was catching 40, 50-yard post plays and going to the house. But I do think I'm going to catch this 16-yard dig, break a tackle, make 30-yard play. I think he's that guy. Or get the ball in his hands quick, break a couple tackles. I think he's that guy. But he hasn't played yet. You still got to get a feel for him. His endurance, his routes, and his familiarity with Tannehill, or vice versa, I should say. Tannehill's familiarity with him. You still got to work through some things, but that comes with playing, and he hasn't played yet. So all that to say, I truly expect his role will expand the next few weeks. I'm anxious and curious to see how that works, what transpires from him getting healthy and them needing a spark, if you will, in the passing game. Hooper and Okonkwo, as good as they have been, that can't be your bread and butter. Now, it's worked. You remember a few years ago with New England when they had two tight ends with Gronk and Aaron.
Yeah.
It worked.
It did.
But still, the guys on the edges had to make plays when they had to make plays. But, so we'll see. But I'm anxious to see, as he hopefully stays healthy from the remainder of the season, how his role evolves with the Titans as they need get better in the passing game.
615-737-1045, the phone number if you want to jump in this afternoon on Titans Talkback. We are presented, as always, by Lee Company. Facility managers need a reliable partner for their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical needs. They trust Lee Company's 24/7 service and their team of experts. Your next play, visit leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Titans beat the Broncos 17-10. More of your phone calls after this as you listen to Titans Talkback on 104.5 The Zone.
Receiver right. Going to give Henry a turn. He pitches it back to Tannehill. He throws deep right side. There's Westbrook. Akine 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, end zone. Touchdown! Titans! Oh, goodness! Return to sender.
Yo! Yes! Yes! Oh, that's hell yes.
Anytime you can get a hell yes out of Coach Dave McGinnis, something very good has happened. And it certainly did. Nick Westbrook-Akine's second touchdown of the day, 63 yards from Ryan Tannehill, and Ryan Tannehill by way of Derrick Henry on the flea flicker. 5 catches for 119 for NWI. He will join us tomorrow morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will at 9 a.m. right here tomorrow on 104.5 The Zone. Alongside Dr. Kevin Dyson, I'm Will Boling, taking your phone calls here on Titans Talkback at 615-737-1045. Or next we go to Robert in Virginia, chiming in on tonight's win over the Broncos. What's going on, Robert?
What's up, guys? Hey, man. Hey, I love y'all show, man. Y'all do y'all thing. And, man, I love y'all to death, man.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you.
All right. Hey, look, I just want to let y'all know, man, long time type fan. And I want to tell these fans right now, they got to settle down, man, and calm down. These guys out here are doing their thing. They doing their thing. You can't get everything all at once. So sometimes we had the offense going, sometimes we got the defense going. But the defense is going out here doing what they got to do. We done seen it all this time. You know, these guys go out here on defense and they stop them. We go out on offense, sometimes they can't get it done. But you look at it and look at the defense. When they go out here, sometimes we get the quarterback. He goes out and scrambles or whatever else. Sometimes the defense don't stay in their lane. Mm-hmm. But if you look at all these games that we done lost here this year, it's because the quarterback. And I can't stand that joker, man. I cannot stand that joker from Kansas City because he get them every time. If they just stay in their lane, don't run around him and run on his backside. If everybody stay in the lane and keep him in the pocket, it forces him to throw the ball down the field. And that's all they got to work on. That's all they got to work on defense. Offensively, we got to get it together. We know it's going to be a time coming. We got to get things better with receivers and stuff like that. But people don't realize our defense holds us together. It's the heart and soul of this team. It holds us together. Offensively, they go out there and do what they got to do. They do the best that they can. But people got to realize we just got to hold together and don't give up. Our fans got to realize, don't give up. These guys go out here and do their thing every Sunday. Just hold tight. We're going to work it out. We're going to work it out. We're going to work it out. And everybody look at it and just realize one thing. Sometimes the games that we lose because the quarterback get away from that defense. That's right. It.
Yep.
But you better hold. But I'm telling them right now. Better hold tight and tighten up. Because the car still ain't got no roof, baby.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate the call. I mean, he pretty much summed it up perfectly.
I mean, if you look at the conference, the Bills will probably drop down in this ranking. Miami will be number 1 seed. Kansas City will be number 1. The Dolphins will be 2. Ravens 3. Titans 4. Then you got Jets, Bills 5, 6. Chargers 7. New England 8. Cincinnati right there 8. And then after that is a big drop off because the Bengals and Patriots are both 5 and 4. After that, it's Colts 3 and 5, Browns 3 and 6, Broncos 3 and 6, Jags 3-7, Raiders 2 and 6, Pittsburgh 3 and 6, and of course Houston 1 and 7 and 1. So all that to say, as people want to, and I understand it, complain about the lack of exciting, offensive, productive, scoring points football, your team is one of the top 4 teams in the AFC.
Sure is.
So that being said, you're right in the thick of it, and that's all I want. I want my team to be relevant in making the playoffs and have a chance to win, because anything can happen once you get there. You know, you don't have to be, quote unquote, the best team season long. You just got to be the best team that moment.
Right.
And that's it. And that's what you get. If you tell me the Cincinnati Bengals were the best team last year.
No, far from it.
But they got hot and they made the Super Bowl.
If one call goes differently, they might not have even made it to Nashville in the second round.
Come on now.
It might have been the Raiders.
And they're one drive away from being Super Bowl champions.
Right.
So
I'm with you.
So, I mean, again, I get it. And that's why we have this show and why we take calls and we get people and they're upset, and rightfully so, because you want your team to be whatever you envision them to be, and you feel like they're not meeting your level of expectation. But regardless, you have a professional football team that's 6-3, that's in the top 4 teams in the AFC, that is relevant, and you got one of the best players in the league, one of the best players to ever put on the two-tone blue.
That's right. You certainly do. And number 22, there's no doubt about that.
So I get it. But be appreciative of what you're going through right now, too, because your team is still 6-3.
615-737-1045 is the number. Kevin Dyson, a first for Titans Talkback this season. We're going international on the phone lines.
Ooh, I like it.
We have a caller from London who has called in to check in with us. Michael from London calling in here on Titans Talkback. Hello, Michael. Michael, are you there?
Is he asleep?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good evening, guys. How you doing? It's midnight down there, so that's what we're going to go through to watch the Titans, mate. Listen, first-time caller. Nice to speak to you guys, Mr. Dyson.
Good to see you, man. Good to talk to you.
Michael, can you hear us? You got us? All right, we'll see if we can reconnect with Michael there, calling internationally tonight on the show. Certainly have not had that happen before. Let's go to Drew in Nashville in the meantime at 615-737-1045. Hey, Drew.
Hey, guys. I'm glad you guys could take my call. I have a question about David Long and kind of an underrated linebacker in the NFL this season, I would say. Can you just speak on how he's been able to take Shane Bone's middle linebacker role and how he's been able to fit that Titans defense as the perfect Mike guy?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks, Drew.
He's having a Pro Bowl caliber season. He won't get there just because namesake and things of that nature. But from a productive standpoint, for what he means to a team and their defense standpoint, the plays he has made this year, he is having a Pro Bowl caliber season. And in a season of defense stepping up, playing at a championship level, he's been one of those unsung heroes for me. As I asked Kayla about that, some of the guys that have stepped up that you weren't necessarily, quote unquote, counting on. You know, of course you knew about Kevin Byard, you knew about Big Jeff, and you knew about Cunningham, you knew about some guys on defense. But Long, he was just kind of another guy. But he's standing out week in, week out. He continues to make plays, continue to be productive.
David Long and Amani Hooker both have gone through the same maturation process of taking over starting jobs and then thriving in those starting jobs after being eased along throughout the process.
Right.
The process of sitting behind good players for a couple of years, learning the position, and not forcing development that needed a little bit of time. I needed a little bit of time to marinate for those two guys. And they've thrived in those roles. I mean, you talk about what the Titans have been able to build with new names and with unsung heroes. That conversation starts for me with David Long, another member of that 2019 draft class who's turning into a star on this defense.
Another 8 tackles today, still highly productive. And he has an edge to him, too, that he plays with.
I mean, we didn't have a very long show last week after the Kansas City loss, but I mean, he was in Travis Kelce's grill after one play in that game.
The whole game.
And he was talking to Cortland Sutton today.
Yeah, man. He's got an edge to him, and it resonates. I think a lot of guys respect him, respect that. The expectations obviously have gone up for him, and he just keeps rising to the occasion.
Yeah.
And that's all you can ask for, man. That's all you can ask for. I mean, again, we talk about this in this season, this level of next guy up. That moniker is thrown around a lot, especially in the National Football League.
It is.
But this team has done that the last several years. They've had guys go down, the next guy up, and they continue to be productive and continue to find ways to make plays, and there's not a big drop-off. And that's if you want to give credit to JR or Vrabel or whoever, that's where you need to go ahead and give them credit. because they are building a team and building a culture of expectation that guys come in and they meet that. Now, do they always meet the expectations from a performance standpoint? No. Guys fail. Guys get plays made on them. They miss plays. They drop balls, and then that's where we talk bad about them. But from overall standpoint, if you look at it from the time them two have been here to where they're at now, from the wins of the National Football League, they have found guys that have been productive time and time again. Has it always worked out? Nope. Has they always gotten it right? Nope. And we can have that conversation. That's a whole show in itself.
It is.
But for a vast majority of it, though, they've done a pretty good job developing young guys and guys coming in and fitting the bill when they needed to. They made mistakes. There's a couple of guys, like, I still want to see what Caleb Farley can do. Is that a mistake? I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Certainly. But it's on that list, but we'll see.
615-737-1045, the number. Before we take our final break, let's try Michael in London one more time. No, not London, Kentucky, London, England. Checking in with us. Hey, Michael, you got us?
You guys know, man, I'm standing right in front of the microwave, making sure things work. So,
All right. Go ahead.
Listen, man, it's very much to get me back. It's frustrating. So I started watching football in '89 with the run and shoot. So it's the passing that got me into football. 4 receivers, spread it out, Warren Moon, go. Vrabel is a great manager. I've got to give him that. And you could see the team, like Mr. Dyson just said, like this, they've got a culture because of an extension of him as a person. They're tough, they're gritty, and they've consistently played well. What I don't understand and what kills me about this is, if you notice, we've never really employed any great assistant coaches, any now promotions. And you look at the offense at the moment, we've never been able to get a wide receiver. Every other team seems to be able to either draft them, get them. We're just getting second-rated players. Even when we do get great receivers, we don't seem to know what to do with them. Look at Elijah Jones last year. Catch a cold to save his life. And look at the guy that went to Detroit, Reynolds. He leaves Tennessee and he starts now.
Yeah. I think we're got a reception that's breaking up a little bit there, Michael, but the point is excellent. It's a good call. Thank you, Michael, for staying up late with us across the pond and chiming in. That Ramon Foster said this a lot, Dr. Dyson, that there are a lot of assistant coaches in the NFL who are brought in just so they can be let go. And just so deficiencies that coaches know they have on their own teams are not their fault, not the GM's fault. It can be put on an assistant coach. Now, am I implying that's the only reason why Todd Downing was hired? No, I'm not even saying that's why Todd Downing was brought in as the Titans offensive coordinator instead of someone else. And the Titans tried to talk with Tim Kelly of the Houston Texans at the time, and they were denied permission. And now Tim Kelly's on the staff as a pass game coordinator and as an analyst within this coaching staff. But Mike Vrabel, one of his weaknesses is his own stubbornness and his own fierce loyalty to his guys.
Yeah.
And Todd Downing is one of his guys. There is no doubt about that. And we can have the conversation after the season's over whether or not the Titans definitely do or don't need to make a change, because there's still plenty of time left in this season to figure out whether or not this offense can evolve to that next step. But I think one thing is for sure, 0 catches by wide receivers on Sunday Night Football, 10 catches by wide receivers today. Feels like a ton, when in reality, it's still really not enough from that position for the Titans.
It's still not. Well, there's a couple things that you said on there as far as hiring guys that you basically use as scapegoats. I don't necessarily know how much that happens, and I don't know if that's even part of the equation. But I will say this. I've been part of a coaching staff where the head coach was more influential on the offense side of the ball than people probably realize, even though he was a defensive-minded coach.
Sure.
His expertise and his coaching pedigree came from the defense side of the ball, but he had a lot more say-so on what was run and called on offense than a lot of people probably realized at that time for that particular coach and team. I'm not even going to go into who that is. So I say that to say I don't know Todd Downing. I don't know his personality. I don't know. But I do know Vrabel has the expectation, and I'm not saying he's in there saying, no, don't run this, and yes, run that, or whatnot. I don't know how much his hands are involved in the game planning on offense. He's a defensive guy.
Sure.
But his influence from a global standpoint is obviously there. He's always managing game and clock. He probably is saying, hey, look at it. Look at this time. I need to run the football, run this clock. I don't care if you see something in the passing game. We need to run right now because we got to get some clock running. He's absolutely has that kind of personality. How much that happens, I don't know. I mean, that's between him and his coaching staff as they're on the sidelines and they're deciding what to do and what not to do. But I don't necessarily think that Vrabel brings in a bunch of yes men. At least I hope he's not.
Yeah.
Because if you have a bunch of yes men, you can't be productive because everybody's just like you. At least not from my point of view from a leader. From a leader, you want people around you, not necessarily challenge you, but challenge you to be better. Be better as a leader in which you are, who can give you different sides of the equations, different aspects of the whys. Like, hey, coach, we want to think about running this here because of this. Because that's how you grow as a team. And I'm not in that locker room. I'm not in those meeting rooms. So I'm only making assumptions. He doesn't seem like the type to say, hey, this dude made a mistake. He seemed like the type to take it on himself. And maybe that in itself trickles down to the guys like, hey, I'm taking this on, but you got to do better. Who knows? But does it need to be better? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we were saying these things about Shane Bowen a few years ago, and now this Titans defense is probably a top 5 defense of the NFL.
Come on now. And there might be a level of trust because there was some conversation about how much was Vrabel involved in the play calling back then. And now look, you don't even have those same conversations. It's just a level of trust that's probably developing over time.
When we come back, one final round of phone calls at 615-737-1045. We'll get to a couple more of you who have been waiting patiently to talk with us. And we look ahead to a trip to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. Coming up next, one final segment, Titans Talkback, 1045 The Zone. One final segment of Titans Talkback presented by Lee Company here on 104.5 The Zone. And with Kevin Dyson, I'm Will Boling. And it's a quick wrap-up because lots of phone calls, lots of reaction from our 104.5 The Zone teammate Kayla Anderson and Kevin Dyson. We're pretty much wrapped up today. And looking ahead to Green Bay, we've got about 30 seconds here. The frozen tundra presents big challenges. And I've said before, I don't care what record that team has when you go there. That's a tough place to play.
Man, and whoever makes these schedules and putting a night game in Green Bay, Wisconsin
in November
and December, man, they're not worried about people's health. That is one. But I'll tell you this: my rookie year, and I remember the date, December 20th, 1998. Went down there. It was Reggie White's last home game. Brett Favre, and snowing. That was like. I was like, man, I made it. That's when I knew I made it. That's awesome. December 20th, and it's just Lambeau Field, frozen tundra, bro.
We look ahead to next week's opponent in the Look Ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive and below dealer pricing. ASC certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for over 2 decades. Eurofixonline.com is where you can find them on the web. Next week, the Titans head to the frozen tundra at Lambeau. Thursday night football against the Green Bay Packers. Award-winning Titans Countdown begins at 6 p.m. That is our look ahead, presented by Eurofix. Titans radio coverage is produced by Philip Noel and Brad Willis. Studio producer is Joe Hunkapiller. Scoreboard producer Lucas Panzica. Promotions director Rich Ferris. Hunter Rice is director of sales. General manager Allison Warren. Operations managers Charlie Cook and Paul Mason. The executive producer of Titans Radio is Rhett Bryant. For Kevin Dyson and Brett Batchelor, our producer, I'm Will Boling. We'll talk to you Thursday on The Zone.